know is that over the years, the fisheries subsector has been subjected to a series of neglect by successive governments, because successive governments are giving priority more to animal and crop production compared to the fisheries subsector. As a result, there is huge deficit in our requirement, and then that brought about the need for importation. Yes, again, it is true that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has issued licenses for the importation of fish into this country because in order to fill the gap in our requirement. But I want to also report to this Honorable House that steps are being taken to phase out completely fish importation within the next 2 years. And because of that, local production is being encouraged to beef up the local production so that eventually the importation of fish will be a thing of the past. So in the next 2 years, there is a deliberate policy that in the next 2 years, there will be no licenses issued for fish importation. And before that time, local production will have been beefed up to meet our domestic requirement. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I support this motion so that the circumstances leading to this importation of fish will be unraveled, and then fish importation will be stopped. Thank you, sir.
Also fish. And in the course of your assignment, have you ever run into a demonstration fish farm by the Ministry of Agriculture?
Well, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, what I mean by, sorry, I was unable to explain the deliberate policy that was put in place for the purpose of meeting the local requirement. Mr. Speaker, honourable members, one of the problems is that we are unable to exploit our fisheries resources in our territorial waters. As a result, it is the Chinese and other foreigners that are coming to exploit it. The Nigerian Institute of Marine Research and Oceanography has acquired the necessary technology trawlers that will go deep for the purpose of exploitation of our fisheries resources in our territorial waters. And also, there is a deliberate policy of training and empowerment of our youth and women in aquaculture. Deliberate policy of training and empowerment of our youth and women in aquaculture. And I've even invited a lot of my colleagues to apply for that program so that their constituents will benefit in the training and empowerment of youth and women in aquaculture, whereby they will train them and also give them the necessary startup packs. These are some of the deliberate policies that were put in place now for the purpose of meeting of our local requirement in fish production. Mr. Speaker, if I've answered your question once.
Okay.